He is. I think he's like the nicest guys in the business. I mean, this guy is really good. I mean, he's like everyone loves this guy. I mean, he did his own sitcom. He's such a great guy. But anyway, and him and his wife. I mean, his wife is nice too. I mean, good people, and he'll be great on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Thompson.
So it takes me a second, I can't read, so I appreciate y'all coming out. I'm working on endurance most of the time, because Brennan was so gracious to give me 10 minutes, but I don't know what to do with more than 2.5. Contrary to popular belief, I feel like I overdressed. I picked this thing called the Ken Doll fashion out of his Poor Life Decisions wardrobe. Anybody else have ADHD besides myself? Yeah? A few of us. Heck yeah. I didn't realize that you could talk to yourself and you can actually hear yourself talk to yourself. It's weird. My supervisor kind of pointed that out to me one day. He was like, you talking to yourself? If you have ADHD, you make like mental notes, keep track of stuff, and then sometimes you have to talk to yourself while doing it. And then you remember you can't tie your shoe, and then you're deaf in both eyes. It's fine. Yeah. Who all knows how to cook in here? Dealt with food a lot, pastas, stuff like that. Anybody knows what tortellini is? Yeah. So I didn't realize that tortellini is probably the sexiest pasta known to man. I did some research because I like food. It might not look like it. I appreciate Brennan calling me a heavy hitter, but there ain't nothing heavy about me. Tortellini was actually made by this guy in Italy from the Bologna area. I call it the Oscar Mayer area just because my brain lags like a 2000s desktop. So, yeah. So apparently this dude designed this pasta as the bottom of a woman's anatomy. And then the traditional way to cook this is to cook it in broth. So it's constantly wet. And then I realized tortellini better stop fucking playing. Yeah. So my grandpa, bless him, he was in World War II. He was noted for taking out about 4 or 5 aircraft, which had about 4 or 5 German soldiers per aircraft, right? Come to find out, he's the world's worst German mechanic. Yeah. My aunt didn't like that at my bar mitzvah. She said, yeah. So a little bit of a darker joke. I found out why the Jewish don't go down on their lady spouses. It's too close to the gas chamber. Yeah. That's a good one. So, you all seem old enough. Pepsi did a thing way back in the day called Pepsi Points. Y'all remember Pepsi Points? You would buy so much Pepsi, and Pepsi would be like, "Here's you a gift. I appreciate it." So, they did this commercial back in the 90s that said if you got so much Pepsi Points, they'd give you a Harrier jet. For those of you who don't know what a Harrier jet is, it's a heavily armored aircraft. De-armored, of course, right? So, long story short, this dude took Pepsi to court, and Pepsi was just like, "I'm kidding. Totally false. You don't get a plane." Well, he took him to court, fought it, and now he's got an airplane in his front yard. And all I'm saying is, if I come up with 700,000 to 1.5 million Pepsi points, I'm gunning for a battleship. I'll never see it past the front end of that battleship, but it's fine. Let's see. My apologies. It takes me a second. So I figured out I'm gonna invent pomade for hair that holds down morning wood. The name of it's gonna be Jesus Juice Hair Gel. Strong enough to keep the devil down. When I was thinking about it, somebody had to explain that joke to me. I was like, what does this mean? So I've been married for a little over a year now, which is excellent, right? I had to bring my wife out of the Shire. One Lord of the Ring reference, and I got one guy who understands this. My talent is wasted. I found out the hard way that the government is really fucking crazy. Right, I'm a survivor from this thing called child support. Come to find out, I was dumb years ago and signed the birth certificate, right? Years passed, and apparently they had the eyesight of Stevie Wonder. Because I'm not crazy or anything, but she was heavily toned, and toner ran out probably mid-conception with me. In other words, the only difference between her and midnight was 11:59. Aha. I got chuckles out of that one. That one counts. Anybody else have dogs besides Miss Evelyn? Woo! Yes. So I have a dog. She's a pit bull. We think she's mixed with a boxer, and she has the sass of a 6-year-old toddler. Yeah. Who apparently can spell if you say it slow enough, and that's frightening. I don't know where I was going with that joke, but I appreciate y'all bearing with me. Anybody know where Spencer's is? Like, yes, that Spencer's. Yeah. So apparently, I didn't know this was a thing until I started working for them. They have this warehouse, and it's ginormous. And it's anything from billboards to butt plugs. Yeah, that's my joke. So I came home from college years ago during Thanksgiving, and you know how they do it big in Thanksgiving. You're either gonna get a ham, you're gonna get, the uncles throwing down on the grill. So I come in and they're in the middle of cooking, and I take a deep breath, and I'm like, man, this smells really good. Budapest is gonna love it. And they're just looking at me confused, like, who is Budapest? I said, it's the capital of Hungary. And that's when they stopped calling me son, and I found out I was adopted. So I'm really horrible with time. I'd probably burn pizzas if I knew how to time those correctly. But my name is Joseph Thompson. You can find me on Thompson Comedy. Thank y'all. Y'all been truly excellent.